Hello, hello. Welcome to Last Apple Week tonight. It's me, iCave Dave. Welcome. Say hi if you're in the chat. It'd be great to have a chat with you guys, and we'll have a talk about what is going on in the world of Apple this week. I guess the main thing that everyone is still talking about is whether or not there is going to be an event. I think if there is going to be one, Monday is when we'll hear about it, because it looks like the 24th is the date that everyone's talking about for iPadOS 16.1 being released, and then presumably macOS Ventura and all the other stuff. Do we actually believe that they're going to introduce M1 Pro and M1 Max without an event? That doesn't seem right to me, but I could be wrong. I've been wrong in the past. It's just very rare. Who's it? It's Daisy. How are you, Daisy? Lovely to see you. I'm just paring it back a little bit today. We're not doing the big setup with the big cameras. We are live streaming direct from the MacBook Air on the internal camera, internal mic. Let me know if it sounds okay. I don't think it was too bad, because we had used it a little bit in the past as well. We used it as soon as this MacBook Air arrived to do that video where we used it for everything, and I think the audio wasn't too bad. I've got the lights on, so it's not too dark either. But yes, it's a quiet one today. There doesn't seem to be anyone around. Maybe people aren't used to me doing these live streams again yet, but there we go. We've shared it out on Twitter. Let me know if you're in the chat. If you haven't said hi yet, it would be great to say hello. Daisy, I am good. I've got a little bit of a throat. I was down in London yesterday for a team meeting. Got back early this afternoon, and we were out a little bit late, having some adult beverages for work, and playing retro computer games as well. We went to a place called NQ64, which is basically a barcade down in London. Really, really good fun. But yeah, it's a quiet one tonight. I thought we might have. Oh, we've got 7 people watching now. Say hello if you're watching, because it's always good to interact with people on these things. We're going to go through a little bit of the news that's happened this week. Just want to make sure that we've got some people here. And please, if you've got any questions about Apple, anything Apple related, do pop them down in the comments section as well. RXDMac says hi from Ottawa, Canada. Hello, Ottawa. Nice to have you here. So yeah, I pulled up some of the main sites that we'll have a quick look at. But I think the biggest thing, as I said at the start of this stream, is, are we going to be getting an Apple event this October? I really don't understand why they wouldn't. It doesn't make any sense. Mark Gurman's idea that there isn't enough to make it into an event just doesn't make any sense at all. So if the event itself doesn't happen, it's not because there wasn't enough stuff, it's because of something else, whether they've had production issues or they can't get all of the products out at the timescales that they were expecting. But obviously for this event we would be expecting to see the new iPad Pros, which I think Logitech have already basically leaked the fact that they're coming. We're also expecting the M2 Pro and M2 Max MacBook Pros, also an M2 at least, and probably M2 Pro Mac Mini, which would be great. Probably not redesigned, but still coming. And probably a new iPad, the base model, which would have the A14 inside, and perhaps a slight redesign so it could use the Apple Pencil 2. That's also on the cards at the moment. And there's also been now recently talk about an Apple TV with A14, which, maybe, but I don't think it's going to gain any functionality. There's nothing really about the Apple TV that's too slow, but, future-proofing is always nice. I did see that iUpdate Sam Cole was talking on Twitter today about why is there an M1 in an iPad Pro when you don't really notice the speed of it. But there we go. RXD Mac is saying waiting for iPads and Mini M2 before buying anything this year. I mean, yeah, you've left it right till the end, but that's all good. Hi, iBonnie, nice to see you. Yeah, it's a strange one, because he was saying, why have they bothered putting an M1 in there when you don't get to use the power of it? But the M1 is what the A14X would have been. If you remember, before the Apple Silicon Macs actually arrived, we were expecting it to be an A14X powered MacBook. That's what we were expecting to get first, and then they came out and called it M1, but it was an A14X with a different skin on it. They put Thunderbolt controllers, which it wouldn't necessarily have had, but the actual chips, the processors, the core layout is all exactly what you would have expected from an A14X. So that's absolutely fine. iBonnie says my iPad 9th gen is working fine. I'm waiting for iPad OS 16. Well, we're hearing that is going to be on October the 24th, which is the Monday, which is why I expect this Monday is when we'll actually be told about an all-digital event. I think that's what's likely to happen. That's the reason that we haven't heard about it already, because if it's going to be all digital, there's no reason, people don't need to travel. I don't think there's going to be any really revolutionary new hardware that people would need to have hands-on with, so I don't think it'll be a huge issue. Greg F, hi, how are you? Good to see you. We've now got 10 people watching. That's okay, I don't mind. It's just nice to chat to you guys. If you have got any more questions, please do let me know down in the in the comments section in the live chat. What's my opinion on iOS 16 so far, says iBonnie. In terms of the iPhone, I've found it really, really stable all the way through. I haven't really had any problems with it. I think the new lock screens are really nice. I do wonder why they chose the fonts that they did for the time, because I think some of the time fonts are a bit crap. I've got the 14 Pro. Very much enjoyed this phone. The always on display, I don't care really. Certainly I don't notice the ProMotion that I've got on it. ProMotion really doesn't seem to make any difference to me at all. I don't know if it's just my old man eyes that I just can't tell the difference, but yeah, it's not the big deal that everyone's been making out. But iOS 16 itself, everything's been fine, but it's fine. There's nothing exciting particularly about it. Universal control that we finally got from iOS 15, sort of halfway through that cycle, has been really good. I've been using that with the iPad, with my MacBook Air now. That's been quite cool. What else has actually got added for iOS 16? I can't even remember. Stage Manager, but I don't have an M1 iPad, so that makes no real difference to me. I'm certainly not going to use it on the desktop because it's just a weird way of managing Windows. But yeah, iBonnie says my iPhone 12 runs amazing on iOS 16. Yeah, I've got an iPhone 12 over here as well, which is the one that I use for work. So that's yeah, that's a phone that I have to use for work, and that's the basic 12. I've also got my 12 Pro Max that's going to my dad soon. And then my 14 Pro is my new phone, which I'm really happy with. But yeah, I haven't seen a huge amount of differences. It's nice to have the the battery percentage back in the top bar. That's quite nice. RxDMax says I've had a few third-party glitches on the iPhone 13 Pro. Really, what apps have you had issues with? In some of the early betas, I did have some issues with Filmic Pro, not connecting very well to the remote, but that all seems to be resolved now. And I know Filmic is actually going over to doing a subscription model, which I'm fine with, to be honest. Jason James says, on a percentage scale, how confident are you that the Mac Mini M2 Pro is coming 100%, 90%, and do you think it's coming in 2022? So I'm almost certain that we'll get an M2 Mac Mini. Whether we'll get the M2 Pro in it or not, I would say I'm 75%, 80% confident that we will get that. It seems like they want the Studio to be from the Max upwards, so it makes no sense to not have anything with the Pro chip for the desktop. That makes sense to me, and there should be plenty of space internally for cooling something like that as well. But yeah, I definitely think it'll be this month. So yeah, fingers crossed. I hope you guys don't mind the sort of pared down version of the live stream that I'm doing. I haven't got the external mics, I haven't got external cameras. We're just doing this straight from the MacBook Air. This is the M2. I think the camera's not bad at all, to be fair, for just this kind of live stream. I think it's pretty okay. 75%, yeah, I'm glad that we're on the same page there. Michael Moy, welcome. How are you? How's the trading going? I'm assuming that the UK's absolute turmoil in terms of what we've been doing with our government is making things interesting in the markets. We've also got as well next week, sorry, not next week, but the following week, we've got Apple's earnings call. So that will be interesting as well to see what's going on in terms of how Apple's been doing. Obviously, cost of living has gone up for a lot of people. Interest rates have gone up. So, yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on there. My mouse cursor seems to have disappeared completely. That's very strange. Oh, well. I guess I won't be doing anything then. Michael Moy is saying that he has looked at a Razer Blade 15 yesterday. I hope you don't mean to buy. I hope you were just looking at it from a distance. A lot of speculation that the Mac Pro M2 will be delayed until 2023. Yeah, I think that's probably the case. I don't really see that there's a need to rush that out at this point either, because, let's be honest, the Mac Studio is pretty much covering the vast majority of people that need a Mac Pro. Michael Moy, worthwhile to wait if 3nm. It won't be. If it's M2 generation, it'll be 5nm. Everything M2 generation will be 5. And I think the M3 generation is most likely going to be 4nm and not 5 as well. So I think that's probably where we're going to be looking at. iBonnie, iPhone 12 battery health is at 88% capacity. It doesn't matter. Just ignore it. It doesn't matter at all. Am I excited for the upcoming basic iPad? I was thinking about going for the Pro 11-inch, but the new one seems like it could be more than good enough. So my kids have both got 9th gen iPads, like the base model. I'm still using the iPad Air. So this is the first iPad Air, so that's the A14 version of it, not the M1 one. I really like the new designs, but yeah, the 9th gen iPads, which have got A13 inside, I want to say, they're absolutely adequate, and the 10th gen with an A14 inside it, again, will just be more than enough for pretty much anyone to do iPad things. Like, unless you're trying to replace a laptop or a desktop, then you don't need an iPad Pro. The only thing is, I wouldn't probably make much use of the cameras in the base iPad. They're pretty sucky. The iPad Pro ones are pretty good, but they're still not as good as your phone, and you've almost certainly got an iPhone if you're going to buy an iPad, so I don't see why it really matters that much. Is that just me? Do people actually care about the iPad cameras? I'm guessing no. There's so little news, it's unbelievable. The Apple Watch Ultra, what are people thinking? I think a lot of people seem to think that it's the product of the year. There's other people that are saying it's just a very expensive Apple Watch. It is actually cheaper than the previous titanium Apple Watches when it was just an edition. And you're getting more stuff that you can do with it. So that's kind of good. I don't think it's overpriced. I think they've priced it about right. But there we go. Yeah, content consumption for the iPad is a great thing. It's fine for a bit of light video editing as well. You can do that on there as long as you've got enough storage on it, which is the other thing. Gaming is a really good use for the iPad. Like I used to play Call of Duty on it quite a lot. Call of Duty Mobile, which runs incredibly well. It's very entertaining. It's very good fun. But yeah, I think if you were wanting to use it for actual production stuff, it's probably worth investing in an iPad Pro of some sort. For the vast majority of what the vast majority of people use an iPad for, yeah, just go for the base one. It's incredibly cheap as well. iBonnie's got the Apple Watch Series 6 for your birthday. Happy birthday. How are you finding it? The Series 8. And the Series 8, I mean, it's not massively different from the 7, but it's slightly better. And I would never have upgraded from the 7 to the 8, and I don't think anyone should really do every generation upgrades on most stuff. Like, I don't. But yeah, always get the newest one because it's going to be the best one at the time. Apple is always saying, it's the best iPhone we've ever made. Obviously, if you've made it worse than the last one, Tim Cook is not doing his job very well. So, this was an interesting bit of news that I saw earlier, actually, on the subject of Apple Watches. Now, I think it's over 30% of iPhones that are being used are connected to an Apple Watch, which is bonkers when you think about how ubiquitous the iPhone is. It's over 50% of the US market, and now 30% of those people, so basically 15% of people with a phone, are using an Apple Watch too. That's kind of crazy. Love the Series 8, much improved from the Apple Watch Series 4. Yeah, it will be. When you're doing that kind of jump, it's gonna feel much nicer. You've got a slightly bigger display. I've got the SE still, the original SE from when it first came out, and I've been more than happy with it. Don't feel the need to upgrade it at all. I wish I hadn't scratched the face to crap when I was on holiday, in the pool. But these things happen, and it's not the end of the world. It's still fully usable. I still would never put a case on an Apple Watch. In fact, I actually got approached by a watch case company to review some stuff, and I was like, I'm not going to be happy with it. Thomas Rabenstein, how are you doing? Hi, greetings from Germany. Greetings, sir. Hope everything's going well for you. I know it's an hour later there, so it's 20 past 11 in Germany, I think. Sorry for keeping you up. Yeah, there's so little to actually talk about. It's horrible at the moment, which is why I really appreciate the iCave answers that we do. Kind of keeps me having something to talk about at least. So if you have got questions that you want me to answer on a show, please do leave them down in the comments sections, and we will do a lot of that. iBonnie turned off the always on display because I'm not a fan of it and to save battery on the Apple Watch Series 8. Yeah, I mean, I've kept it on my iPhone. I kind of like it. It is quite subtle. It's not over the top in your face. It doesn't sort of glow across the room. Sorry, I've got a really itchy nose. Excuse me. Yeah, I've really liked it. I've never had an always on watch. I don't really see the point of having the screen on when I'm not looking at it because it's pretty quick as soon as I raise my arm up. I have just gone onto eBay today and picked up one of the Alpine loops for the Apple Watch Ultra, but a cheaper version. So we'll see if it's any good when it arrives. But that'll be an interesting one because I think Apple's watch straps are very great. Yeah, they're great quality. I think they're very expensive for what they actually are, though. It's almost impossible sometimes to tell the difference. I think the only difference with this one is it uses plastic attachment lugs rather than the metal ones that you would get. But this watch that I'm wearing right now has actually got, because this was a very cheap one from eBay as well, and this one's lovely. I really enjoy wearing this. But this has got the plastic lugs on it as well, and it's really not a handicap. I quite like them. This feels really snug on the wrist as well. I do like this one. It's quite subtle, but it actually feels really good quality as well, which is bonkers when it was about £4. But yes, is everyone very excited for AR VR headsets at this point? That would be that's going to be January's big thing, I think, which is great that we're actually going to have something to talk about in January. Jason James says, Dave, I'm torn between selling my MacBook Air M1 and getting a 16-inch MacBook M1 Pro, or keeping the MacBook Air and getting the Mac Mini M1 Pro to have to work. Okay, so It's basically whether you want to have a powerful computer that you can dock at your desk, or having a light laptop that you can take with you, and also, so I would basically say do the desk dock thing. Go for the MacBook Pro, but I would also wait until next week because I think we'll have M2 Pro MacBooks by then. And oh, thank you, Thomas. Really appreciate that. I think I would probably go for the 16-inch if you want to have something of that size to take around with you. But it depends on your your personal circumstances of what you need to do with it. If you are doing a lot of productivity stuff, if you're doing video editing, if you're doing all that kind of thing, I would probably go for the Pro. But I mean, I've got to say, I absolutely love the M2 Air, which is what we're using now. And this is plenty for me to dock to the big old screen that we've got here in the studio, and do my video editing and everything else, and be able to do it when I'm on the go as well. So I would say both will work. My M1 Mac Mini is staying here, but that is going into the Macintosh Classic that's sitting over here. But what I do need to do is make sure that I find out properly how to discharge the CRT, just to make sure that I don't blow myself across the room. So we will do that first and then start dismantling it. But yeah, hopefully that's answered your question, Jason. If you've got any more questions around that, please do ask. How are people finding the audio on this? Because this is just using the internal MacBook Air mic. I'm not using my external stuff today. I've just gone for like the most simple setup that I could work out. I've been travelling for the last couple of days. I've been down in London. It's London Cocktail Week at the moment. So we were down there for a Herradura big tequila activation, which was really, really good. Really good. We had a team over from a bar in Amsterdam that were running that event for the first couple of days, and then it will be moving over to some different bartenders from other bars as the 10 days goes on. Been very good. Sound is amazing. Oh, that's good to know. I mean, we did make a video using basically just the MacBook Air. If you remember, we shot all the video on it, we recorded all the audio on it, I even did B-roll on it, and we did it all as well on like less than half of a charge, which is just crazy because it was about a 25-minute video, I think. Shot, edited, uploaded, the works. So that did quite well. Yeah, I mean, so you can tell we're using the onboard, but it's pretty good. That's not too bad then. I mean, this is obviously these kind of mics are basically designed for doing like Zoom calls and all that sort of thing. But I think Apple has done a decent job with this, and I think even the camera is not bad at all for a built-in. Especially when you think about how awful it's been in the past, with the 720p versions on the previous laptops. But I honestly never found that the old laptop cameras were that bad, because you're not typically using them for this sort of thing. They are typically just to be for those sort of calls. And how many laptops have got better cameras? Not really many at all. I don't think everyone complained, but yes, we've got better cameras in our phones, but look how thick they are. Like, try and put that into the top of a display. That's the issue. You need to have that depth. So yeah, cool. Have helped you always like the idea of a desktop and light laptop, but I'm unsure of the power and convenience of the MacBook Pro 16-inch or M1 Pro and Max can't be denied. Yeah, I mean, and it's not going to be long until we see what's going on. I think probably next Monday you're going to find out what's going on. So yeah. Thomas Rabenstein, I saw a short from MKBHD today which demonstrated how AR can enhance the desktop. So I saw this. There's no news on the Apple AR VR stuff, but I know Meta have just launched their Quest Pro, I think they called it. So it's like 1,500. Oh my word, thank you so much. roughly $5. Thanks for your thoughts. Oh, I really appreciate it. Where are you based? What is MX dollars? I don't know that, but thank you regardless. Yeah, the Meta Quest. What I don't understand is why, if you've got the option, because yeah, Marquez showed, a laptop sitting on the in Mexico. Beautiful, thank you very much. So yeah, maybe you were more excited about the Herradura stuff. Yeah, so with the MetaQuest stuff and the AR VR goggles, I don't understand why, if you've got a laptop on the desk and you put the goggles on, it puts you like 3 virtual screens in front of you, as opposed to, like, why limit yourself to making it look like physical displays on a desktop? Like, that doesn't make any sense. You've got all of the freedom of what you can do when you're playing with all of the AR and VR stuff. But instead of doing something interesting, you've gone, oh, well, we'll create 3 monitors and sit them on a desk. I don't get that. Like, you've got so much freedom, do something better. So, I'm sure people can, but that's obviously like a familiarity thing that they've decided to go with on that. And that's absolutely fine. Now, we are probably not going to stay for the full hour today because I am shattered from the event, and we're taking the kids away this weekend. So we'll do probably another 15 or 20 minutes. Maybe make it like 45 minutes. I think that seems pretty fair. Jason is saying, did you say next week you think they'll do press release for the new products? No, I don't think they're going to do press releases. I think what we're going to get is next Monday, we will get an announcement of a digital event. So I don't think it's going to be press releases. Although a lot of people are saying that it will be, I think there will be a digital event. And I think that digital event will come out on the 24th, which will introduce them. Because what is the difference really between a digital event where people don't go there and a press release anyway? It's, as long as you've got the video that you're going to put out with the products, yeah, it makes sense. So that's what I think will happen. I think we'll have a digital only event on the 24th of October, on the Monday. But we'll see. If they press release them, that's fine, but they'll probably be out that following week as well. The week commencing the 24th. Rod Tech, received my MacBook Air M2, used for music production. It runs smoothly. I think they should have made it with a 14-inch screen. Well, it's 13.6. It's pretty close. But the Air has always been the smaller ones. In fact, my first MacBook Air, which is still over there somewhere, I think. In fact, I can grab it. Give me 2 seconds. Hello. This is actually my first ever Mac, which is a MacBook Air, and it's an 11-inch. So I actually loved this very, very much. The screen does feel kind of cramped these days, but it's been sitting on the shelf. I'm guessing it's got no charge in it. No. But the MacBook Airs have always been the smaller and lighter ones. If you're going up to a 14-inch display, like, that's when you get into your MacBook Pro territory. Although there are rumours that we're going to get a 15-inch MacBook Air at some point next year. Suggestions have been around springtime, but then that doesn't make too much sense to me. So I think it's more likely that will come in June when we get the M3s arriving. So we'll get the M3 MacBook Air and the 15-inch M3 MacBook Air, and hopefully that will replace the 13-inch MacBook Pro that we really don't need. Jason James says, yeah, see, that's a good point. Hope that's right. Would love to see an event. I'm excited for this one. Bonnie, my MacBook Air was from 2012. Yeah, this was a 2011. I think there were really good bits of kit. Obviously now, like with Apple Silicon, everything is so much faster, so there's very little point in trying to go back to any of those. I used to love going to the sort of, not pawn shops, but I guess it kind of is. It's basically where you can sell your old tech to these stores, and a lot of people sort of sell them and then maybe buy them back later. But I used to love going around to those and seeing if I could find stuff. Like, we found one of the 12-inch MacBooks that had been mislabeled as a MacBook Air, which one of my friends bought, and obviously that turned out to be an absolute pig of a machine, but they were beautiful, absolutely stunning looking things. And I think he saved about 400 quid just because we found it in one of these places and they didn't realise what it was. But yeah, Jason James is saying 11-inch MacBook Air would be nice again for some people, but I doubt we'll see it. See, I think the iPad with a keyboard is kind of replacing what the people that would have had an 11-inch MacBook Air would probably be more than happy to use an iPad with a keyboard, because you can still do pages, you can still do like numbers, Keynote. You can do Microsoft Office as well. That all works as well. But yeah, I think there's a lot of good stuff. John's saying that the 11-inch Air would be great with modern bezels and Apple Silicon. That's basically what the 12-inch MacBook was, because that had got thinner bezels, not quite thin bezels, but thinner than on that thing. That was weird because they went aluminium for the bezels as well, but it works. But yeah, I think iPad is kind of the entry level computer now for people, and when you can get the base iPads for $330, $300 reasonably easily through Amazon, and you don't need to have Apple's own keyboards, which are outrageously overpriced for the built-in ones. I think it's $150 for the just keyboard case, and like $300 to $350 if you want the trackpad cases. $50 you can get something that's really good, and probably has a trackpad in it as well. And if you want just a cheap keyboard, you can always go for just a basic Bluetooth keyboard and a kickstand. That all works for any sort of typing, because you have still got the touch screen. You don't have to use a trackpad. You don't have to use a mouse. But yeah, I think that's the way to go, to be fair. John, 12-inch MacBook with an M2 chip. That would be amazing, but we know that Max Tech would take it and try and edit 8K raw Canon footage on it and set it on fire. It's all about the real world testing. I think there's some really good stuff that Apple could do. I do still think that we need to see like a Mac Mini SE and a MacBook SE that has the base like M1 chip in it. Maybe do a MacBook SE that doesn't have a backlit keyboard, if that saves some cash. Maybe it has like the regular LCD display, doesn't have the notch, it has the 720p camera. Do a very base, stripped down, maybe even 128 gigs of storage, an 8 gig memory cap, and sell it for like $750 or $700. That would be amazing, because it would bring so many people into the Mac. And we've got Chromebooks out there that people use. You use cloud storage for it more than you do onboard storage. 128 gigs would be usable. I think they make a 128. I think they make a 128 in education as well, because obviously they're like thin clients and work off of servers. So that's a possibility. Hello, mate. Little boy's here. Give me one sec. What's up, buddy?
My tent.
Your tent? Okay. I'll be right up.
Right now?
Yes. Okay. I'm just going to say goodbye to everyone.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Right, guys. I'm going to have to go because I need to sort my son out for bed. So thank you all for being here. Really appreciate it. If you've got any questions you want me to answer in a future video, smash them down in the comments and I will get to them early next week. Thank you ever so much and have a great weekend, everyone.